for the entire world of sports that upcoming weekend. We have one more conference tournament to go through. That's the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. Some good teams. It's a bit of a top-heavy conference this year, but I do love the competition, especially that we're going to get towards the final few games of the SEC tournament. So let's break it down. The SEC tournament first round tips off on Wednesday, and the first game is number 13 Ole Miss against number 12 South Carolina. To me, this is a bit of a coin flip. I like South Carolina just a little bit more, so I will push the Gamecocks through to the next round, but I think that will be their only win of the SEC tournament. I'm doing the same with number 11 Georgia against number 14 LSU. Georgia, not as good. They've obviously lost out on those marquee draft picks that they had a few years ago. The same quality of talent that was there isn't anymore. I like Georgia just to barely pass through. LSU has just been a disaster this year, but Georgia by a coin flip, I'll have them advancing. South Carolina and Georgia may make it through to Wednesday. I think it's the only wins they're going to get of the week. So feel good if you're a Gamecock or a Bulldog fan, but you can already start looking forward to the football season pretty soon. Okay, now the meteor day of the conference tournament, the second round, Thursday, number 9 Mississippi State against number 8 Florida. I have my eye on Florida. I'd be surprised if they got upset in this game for a number of reasons. I think they could actually do better than people think. I like Florida to advance in this game against Mississippi State. I think it's going to help their case for the NCAA tournament, move up to a better seed. I think they could be a dark horse to maybe make some noise in that first weekend, first round or two of the NCAA tournament. For them to get there, they're going to have to get this win against Mississippi State. Don't think it'll be a problem. I like the Gators in round 2 to advance. Okay, number 12, South Carolina against number 5, Tennessee. Tennessee has been one of the best defensive teams this season. Meanwhile, South Carolina gets the benefit of a terrible matchup in the first round, but I don't think South Carolina has any chance against the Volunteers. Tennessee is allowing 57.5 points per game, the third fewest in the country. When it comes to defensive rating, they're the best in the country. I really like Tennessee. I think they're going to cause a lot of problems for their opponents. I like Tennessee to advance against South Carolina. Eric Musselman and Arkansas play Bruce Pearl and number 7 Auburn in a matchup of teams I liked at the beginning of the year, don't feel as good about right now. Auburn at times was a hot team, an upset creator. They upset, they had a good game against Alabama just a couple days ago. And then obviously Arkansas, not as good as they have been in past years. Eric Musselman's a great coach, but not the quality of talent that he's had. Wasn't able to quite recruit and pull in some of the transfer portal players that he needed to stay competitive within the SEC this year. I like Auburn to advance. They're just a slightly better team. I like their shooting more as well. I like Auburn to advance. And then the final game of that second round is number 11 Georgia against number 6 Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt got a really big win a couple weeks ago against Kentucky. I thought that was a program-defining win as they started to get ready for the March Madness tournament. For that reason, I like Vanderbilt. I think they're obviously deeper and more talented than Georgia. But one of the things I also like about them, Jerry Stackhouse, he has them playing a better tempo. I love what they're doing right now in terms of trying to distribute, get some more depth on their team. A player I'd keep my eye on when it comes to three-point shooting is Liam Robbins. Liam Robbins averaging 36.5% from deep. Also keep your eye on Jordan Wright, averaging 34.7% from three-point range. I like Vanderbilt to advance in that game. Okay, next round, Friday of the SEC tournament. Number 8 Florida faces number 1 Alabama. Alabama has a number of issues floating around the program. Turbulence with their star player. We're not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. All I'll say is Alabama deserves to be a number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, unless there's circumstances that give the committee reason to deny them that privilege. But I like Alabama in this game. Florida, if they were able to pull off the upset, it would go a massive way in making their case for March. But Alabama is the better team. They have not just the best player, they have the better coach. They're the deeper team. I love Alabama in this one to advance. Number 5, Tennessee against number 4, Missouri. Missouri has kind of snuck up on me a little bit. I haven't been paying attention to them for much of the year. Not a team that I really had my eye on. Strength of schedule, 68th in the country. They are 21st in points per game, 80.1 points per game. Dennis Gates has done a really good job with this team. They're 4th in the SEC, so it tells you how well they've played. Like I said, averaging 80 points per game. How do they get it? A lot of depth. Yeah, they only have 3 scorers who are averaging double digits, but they have seven players who have at least 7 points per game or more. So the depth of Missouri has me a bit concerned. But Tennessee's defense, what do we say about defense? It travels. I love it at a neutral site. I like Tennessee advancing, pulling off this slight upset over number 4 Missouri in the SEC tournament. Tennessee advancing. The next matchup we're going to talk about is number 7 Auburn against number 2 Texas A&M. I mentioned a moment ago that Missouri kind of snuck up on me. Texas A&M has had a similar surprising climb up the rankings for me. Buzz Williams, every time you turn around, he's at a new program succeeding. They are 15-3 within the conference, 2nd in the SEC. What do they really do well? They kind of hang their hat on their defense. They average 65.6 points allowed per game, 81st in defensive rating, 68th in offensive rating. So it's kind of strange. They don't score as many points as you think, but their efficiency adds to the quality of their offensive rating. When it comes to their scorers, again, depth is what you're going for, but it's really, again, about their defense. Wade Taylor, their top scorer, averaging 16.3 points per game. Tyrese Radford, 13.3. Then it falls off a bit, but they get scoring from inside and out. So I like Texas A&M, but not as much as I like Auburn. I think Auburn pulls off the big upset. Number 7 taking down number 2 in the tournament. I like Auburn pulling off the upset. Texas A&M is a one-and-doner for me in the SEC tournament. And finally, the last game of this round of the SEC tournament is number 6 Vanderbilt against number 3 Kentucky. We saw this matchup not too long ago. Vanderbilt went into Rupp Arena and pulled off the upset, beating Kentucky. I think John Calipari, has had this game circled ever since. That was just a 2-point win for Vanderbilt. I don't expect it to be as close this time. I like Kentucky to win that game and win it comfortably. Kentucky advancing to the next round of the SEC tournament. Moving on to the Saturday games in the SEC tournament, the semifinals. Number 5 Tennessee against number 1 Alabama. We've seen these teams play earlier this year, pulling up how they did in those matchups. Tennessee beat Alabama at home 68-59 in an incredibly low-scoring game. Alabama, that's a good offensive team, really struggled in that one. Don't think it's going to be the same situation given this game is on a neutral court. I like Alabama to advance. I think they will figure out how to beat the Tennessee defense just enough to squeak out a win. Think it's going to be a close game, so I could see Tennessee covering, but I do like Alabama winning and advancing to the SEC championship game. The next game in the semifinal round is number 7 Auburn against number 3 Kentucky. Now, Kentucky beat Auburn just a few weeks ago, 86-54, really a beatdown in that game. That game kind of sticks out in my mind. I know it was at Kentucky, at Rupp Arena, but that was a wide margin of victory, really controlled the game throughout. When it comes to turnovers, Auburn only had 10 turnovers, had 12 turnovers, only caused 10. So the turnover differential wasn't the real difference. 3-point shooting was the difference. Kentucky, 61% from 3-point range, 8 of 13 from 3-point range. That was ultimately the difference. I think Kentucky's going to continue to beat Auburn in just that way. I think they figured something out. I like Kentucky to advance, setting up a mega matchup of number one Alabama against number 3 Kentucky in the SEC tournament. And I'm going to go with the upset on this one. I'm going to go with Kentucky. Kentucky never played Alabama early this year and lost. It was at Alabama, a bit of a beatdown, but that was much earlier in the year. Since then, John Calipari has worked through some things with his team. They've won they've won 5 of their last 6 games. The only loss they had, I mentioned, was that 2-point loss to Vanderbilt. I think Kentucky has figured something out over the last month and a half. I like Kentucky to ultimately win this game. Think it will knock Alabama out of a number 1 overall seed for the NCAA tournament. Think they could still get a number 1 regional seed, but I think Kentucky will win the SEC tournament, which will vault them into a discussion of whether they're a number 4 or number 5 seed overall. Those were our picks for the Big 12, Big 10, and SEC tournaments. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Fumble Sports, and of course on Twitter at Sports Fumble. If you have questions, want to engage with us, share your picks, never hesitate. Reach out to us on our channels. One more time, that's Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and Sports Fumble on Twitter. Of course, go to our website as well, buttfumblesports.com. Sign up for our free newsletter. It comes out every Friday morning with all of our picks and plays for the weekend, as well as all of our game notes and gambling trends. That way, whether you agree with us or disagree, we try to make you smarter to cash in on your weekend sports betting action. Make sure you follow us. That way you know every time we go live. We'll be doing a lot of brackets as they come out, not just for conference tournaments, but of course for the NCAA tournament. Selection Sunday just a few days away. Make sure you subscribe to your YouTube channel, to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to our TikTok channel. That way you know every time we go live, we're going to be breaking down every region, every game. You won't want to miss it, so make sure you subscribe to Fumble Sports. Appreciate you joining us. Have a wonderful day.